This right here is fine. Nice. Yeah, I don't know that that'll happen. So, good morning, all. I'm Brad Berry, Yamhill County District Attorney. I'm going to introduce a couple other people here just so you know who's standing around. Steve Goldman with the FBI will be speaking with you in a few minutes. Sheriff Svensson, Tim Svensson, Yamhill County Sheriff. We have Captains Ray and Bowdle over on the wings over there. So going to give you some information this morning about an ongoing investigation, give you some background on that. And what we're really looking for in summary this morning is to ask the public for help, ask folks that we think might be victims or potential victims in this case to come forward. So if I want to start with, here we have Robert, I think we pronounce his last name Kerster. We've been calling him Koester or Kester. He often goes by Bert K. For those he deals with. He's a professional photographer, 52 years of age, and is connected to Yamhill County as he owned property in rural Carlton area, and I'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. He's a professional photographer of models, mostly fairly young women, not minors obviously, but some minors and some adults. This case began with his arrest in Carlsbad, California. He's been charged down there with with over 20 sex-related crimes with 4 teenage victims. In the investigation there, it developed information for a connect with victims of offenses in Oregon. Mr. Kerster had a piece of property in rural Carlton area, and in that area we became aware that he had multiple young women, young adult women, coming forward and coming up to this area for the purposes of photography. He was, as I mentioned, he was a photographer of models and was apparently well known for that. Multiple victims were identified that were at the property here. The property, just so that you know, is about 28 acres of land. As I said, it's rural. There are multiple buildings on it, and there was evidence when a search warrant was executed out there that there were multiple areas within the buildings where the modeling, where studio work would have been done. In Yamhill County, the Yamhill County Grand Jury has indicted Mr. Kerster on 32 counts, 32 different charges relating to 4 different victims, 1 a minor, the other 3 young adults. He has been charged with, just so I don't get it wrong here, he's been charged with multiple offenses including rape in the 1st degree, sodomy in the 1st degree, unlawful sexual penetration in the 1st degree, and causing another to ingest controlled substances. In California, he was arrested, as I mentioned, on multiple sexual offenses, as well as sex offenses with persons who were incapacitated by the use of drugs. What we're looking for today. We have information. We believe that there are other victims which from the property here, other individuals who were potentially victims while they were in this area. He would bring models from other states to Oregon, bring them out to the property where they would be photographed. We're looking for information about from individuals who may have been victims, may think that they potentially were victims, and as importantly, other individuals who might know of people who were at this particular property and in the home with Mr. Kerster. Our concern obviously is, well, the big deal here is that we are aware, we have photographs and other videos related to individuals that we've not been able to identify. And we're reaching out completely to find as many as we can, identify as many individuals as we have photographs on, and we need their help. Steve will be talking here in a moment about the FBI tip line, which has been set up. It's a very simple tip line that people can log into. The FBI.gov is the way to get to the tip line. There's a questionnaire there for individuals who are familiar with Mr. Kerster, have been involved anywhere, but in particular from where Yamhill County is concerned, individuals who may have been on the property here, whether they believe they were victims or not. We're confident that they can aid us in identifying other individuals who were on the property who may well have been victims of him. So with that then, I'd like to introduce Steve Goldman. He is the Assistant Special Agent in Charge from FBI Portland. Steve?
Thank you, DA Berry, and thank you, Sheriff Swenson. About 2.5 months ago, this joint investigation launched and quickly brought together the work of the Carlsbad Police, the San Diego FBI, the FBI here in Oregon, and of course, the Yamhill County Sheriff's Office. As the DA mentioned, Mr. Kerster is currently facing 23 counts filed by San Diego County. He's also facing 2 federal counts that have been filed down in Southern California. Those charges are of sexual exploitation of minors. We can't talk about the ongoing investigation, but what we have done is we've set up a pretty efficient way of trying to get as much information, trying to get in touch with as many victims as we can through the FBI.gov website. So go into the FBI.gov website, /model case will take you to the site where victims can enter their information and pretty quickly and efficiently get in touch with our investigators. The website also has links to provide for other victim services should anybody need those. Sorry. The victims in this case, it's very important to us. This investigation's ongoing. We're interested in putting together the complete picture as to what happened in the situation with Mr. Kerster. And that's all I have for you at this time. Thanks.
We're here to take questions if you have any.
Yeah, video, is it just still pictures? Is there video? And characterize the number of potential other faces you've seen that you have not attached a name to yet.
Yes to video, yes to pictures. It's hard to give you an estimate of the number of victims, and in part because the amount of information which has been seized and yet to be analyzed is huge. So we don't really know. Part of the reason for having something as big as this on an ongoing investigation is to reach out to those who can come to us and say, yes, I've been out there. Yes, I have information. Yes, I know people who were there when I was there that I can identify. And ultimately aid us in identifying when we do come across those pictures, we do come across more videos, that we can identify who those people are. They're not just a face. We can put a name to them.
They could potentially be from anywhere in the country, even beyond our borders?
I can't tell you beyond our borders. I'm not going to go that far. Any place in the country I think is possible. Much of what we've seen so far we believe is West Coast, California and Oregon, but we certainly are aware that models, especially models that begin to get into the practice, they're going to be all over the country working, and thus we're trying to reach out as far as we can to get information.
How many different sites were, there was of course the site in Carlton, are there any other sites that he was using for a studio?
Outside of that property in that home, not that I'm aware of now. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
So you mentioned that some of the women in the videos and photos appear to be incapacitated, and you did, one of the charges references use of controlled substances. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Was he drugging these women?
I'm not going to get into the exact details. I think you can draw conclusions from the charges as they are.
When was the search of his property here, and what, and the 4 victims that you've identified in the indictment here, are they from here, or were they brought here from California?
They were, I think they were all brought here from California. I'm not positive. I know at least 3 were brought here from other places.
And
What was the other question?
When did you search his property? property?
Property's been searched twice. It was searched late November, and it was searched again within the past 10 days.
And are you trying to connect photos that you found at his property to potential victims?
There is evidence, digital evidence, which was discovered both in the California cases, the investigation there from California authorities, as well as the FBI, as well as evidence here, digital evidence here, from the searches in Oregon.
He is in custody.
He is in custody in California, state of California.
And how did you find out about him in California? I mean,
The California and federal authorities reached out to Yamhill County authorities and FBI Portland and Salem when they began to get evidence and information that they believed crimes were being committed up here.
In California, do you happen to know if somebody came forward and reported him, or how did they find him in the first place?
I don't know the details of the California investigation well enough to answer questions about it.
Is this guy a pornographer? I mean, is there video and digital evidence of adults having sex, which is not necessarily illegal, even if it is video or pictures of it? Is he a pornographer that has, I'll just leave it at that.
I believe well, in part what the special agent was talking about, they've got to be a little careful on what are likely charges. So I believe that there are child pornography charges which could be brought, and I'll speak in our jurisdiction. They have not been brought as of yet. This is a cooperative investigation between both the FBI, local authorities here, local authorities in Carlsbad, California, and the FBI in California. And at some point, all of the agencies will cooperate on how best to bring these charges against him.
But none of these sexual encounters that you have discovered digitally, et cetera, appear to be consensual, in other words.
He has not been charged in our case with anything that appeared to be consensual.
How did he attract his victims?
He's a photographer of models.
do you know if he worked alone or he worked for another company or others? Or?
We have not charged anyone else as a co-conspirator or co-defendant in this case. I'll just leave it at that. And this, as Steve mentioned, this investigation is ongoing, and I certainly don't want to preclude what may come up in the future.
I just wonder if he worked for a professional agency or he was in business.
He had referrals from professional modeling agencies for the purposes of filming models and aspiring models.
When did he live here versus in California? Did he go back and forth?
I don't know if he went back and forth, and I don't know how long he's had the property here. I was told, we believe sometime in 12 or 13, the property was purchased here,
How long have you worked as a professional photographer to your knowledge?
since the 90s.
The models appear both unclothed and clothed, or are they all?
Again, I'm not going to get into the details, the exact details of what we have on that.
Does he have a record before all this? Any sex crime charges previously?
I know the answer to that question, but I can't recall it right now, so I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
How long has he owned this property in Carlton?
As I said, we believe he bought it in 12 or 13, or acquired it. I don't know if it is purchased by him.
Is anyone living there currently?
The property is being monitored. I'm not going to give you information about who may be there and at what times, obviously.
When was he arrested?
In November of 18.
What precipitated his arrest?
Again, that gets into the details of the California investigation, and I'm not familiar enough with them to really give you that. I'd hate to give you wrong. I'd rather give you no information than wrong information.
Do you know how many victims have been identified so far between the two states?
I know there are 4 charged, and the California charges are 4 different victims, and Yamhill County has indicted on charges relating to 4 victims here.
Are they the same victims?
They are not. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Berry. You said some of the individuals were incapacitated with drugs. Are there any drug charges that are pending with this individual?
Well, he has been charged with unlawfully causing another to ingest a controlled substance. Those are part of the charges in Yamhill County.
And what was that substance?
Again, that's getting into a detail I'm not willing to talk about.
So to be clear, it's indicted and charged for 8 total victims so far?
He has been indicted and charged in 4 victims in Oregon, and there are 4 other victims that he's been charged with sexual offenses in California.
That's a total of 8.
Total of 8.
And there
But
are-
again, we're looking, we wholly anticipate there are more that need to be identified.
I'm just doing the math here, so you've got, looking back, you've got 23 counts filed by San Diego County, 2 federal counts, that's 25, and then 32 counts from the grand jury here. So that's, you add all those together for the total number of counts it's facing altogether? None of those are overlapping?
None of those are overlapping.
But from when to when do the crimes span?
Again, I'm not going to speak for the California ones. I think all of the crimes that are charged here are fall of 2018. I'm actually going to look back to my chief deputy. Is that right? Fall of 18? Fall of 18 are the charges in Yamhill County.
How far do the timestamps go on the videos and photos that you have recovered? I mean, if you've been doing a photographer since the 90s.
That's a really good question. So the question is, how far back do these timestamps go? We still have many, many terabytes of information to be forensically reviewed. So I don't know the answer to that, and it's only because we haven't had time yet to get through all of the evidence. Any other questions? Thank you again. We're looking for people who may have been victims, who may have known victims, and just as little as I've been there and I was with other people that they might be able to help us identify. So thank you for being here.